All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is JMAN, and I'm back with my podcast. It's called Offer with JMAN. It's an independent indie music focused podcast, and I basically follow Stony Psycho, Tony Sebastian, and I saw this lovely lady sitting next to me on his stories, and I wanted to know more about her because she was rapping and she was doing something, and I was like, "Who's this?" So I checked her out, and that happened to be Tracy De Sa.
Hello.
And, I'm a fan, though. Thank you for coming here and giving me some time to have a chat with you. It's amazing. So then I started scrolling my Instagram down, and I saw a lot of pictures of you being very bold, very ferocious, very your style. So let's start from the start. So my beginning happened in the streets of Matunga, where I saw celebrities, I saw people. Then I said that I'm not going to be a person who would probably do a 9-to-5 job, right? And the creative side was much more heavier. So it started like that. How did it start for you?
So first of all, man, thank you so much for inviting me. This is my first interview in India, and I'm so excited. Thank you for believing in me and for inviting me into your space. That's amazing. So my story started in Goa. I was born in Goa. My parents are Goan. But my parents had an arranged marriage, and their marriage was not very good. And my mom couldn't stay with my dad anymore, but she couldn't divorce my dad here either. So she basically ran away. Okay. She told her family that she was going on holidays to see my aunt in Spain, but she never came back. Okay. So first we went to Portugal. We stayed there for a year. We asked for Portuguese nationality. Wow. That was a very difficult stage of our lives because we were small. Yeah. We didn't understand why we had been detached from our family. Right. We were living with people we didn't know by the time that those papers were done. Then we went to Spain. I grew up in Spain. My mom is still living in Spain. Español, claro que sí. And then when I was 18, I moved to France. So that's where I live now. I'm based in Paris. Wow. So I got into hip hop thanks to dance. Okay. So when I got to Spain, I used to dance flamenco. Then I got into dance, Latin music. Okay. And then one day one of my teachers was like, you need to go to hip hop dance. And I was like, why? What is hip hop? And then she's like, go look it out. And then I went there and I was like, oh my God, this is exactly what I want. It was so aggressive and there was so much competition. And I was like, yeah, this is exactly the space I want to be in. So I started dancing. I used to have my crews. We used to battle. We used to do dance exhibitions. We used to do the street shows and everything. And that's when I realized that hip hop was a culture. It wasn't only a musical genre. It was a full culture. And I felt so identified with it because it was the first time that I was hearing people talking about immigration, about living with a single mom, about poverty, about all these problems that we don't tend to speak about, especially when you're a child, when you're an immigrant. You're not allowed to complain. Right. You're not allowed to say that you don't agree with certain things or that you're treated miserably because you're meant to be happy because you're in Europe. Right. And it's a privilege. Yeah. But there were so many things that I was feeling and I wasn't able to express, and then hip hop gave me a means to express that. Wow. And to see that other people were also speaking about it and also felt the same way. It was okay, I finally found my home kind of a thing. Right. And then I started rapping when I was 18. So I was super old. Yeah. I got to France and, hip hop is super big in France. Right. And a lot of the dancers used to hang out with the rappers. And one day this rapper came up to me and he was like, do you rap? And I was like, nah. He was like, you have a hip hop style. I was like, yeah, I'm a dancer. And he was like, oh, but I've been watching you. You know every song by heart, and you have a style, so you should try rapping. Wow. And that literally was what did it for me. Then I started, and then I started going into the cyphers. I started going to open mics, and I was the only girl. I was there with my backpack, surrounded by 20 guys. Everybody was rapping in French. I was the only one rapping in English. I was like, okay, this is gonna be great. But yeah. So, were you able to get a lot of more girls into the whole picture of a scene there? But you managed to do that, right? I think it's happening now. Right. I think I opened the doors for a lot of women to start coming in, and a lot of girls write to me you have been an inspiration and stuff. I still don't see that because I think that I am still in a phase where I still get frustrated and I can feel jealousy a lot because I'm still working on my career today. Right. Everything is always harder for women, and especially when you're an immigrant, when you're a brown girl that doesn't rap in the same language and blah, blah. It's 1,000 times different, 1,000 times more difficult. So I feel I open certain doors, but I still don't have access to the things that I would like to. So it's still a process. Being the main event
Is that what you're talking about?
Not really, because I feel like I've understood lately that I don't make music to shine. I make music to serve.
Wow.
So I really feel like my music has something more important and more profound, and I shouldn't be thinking about, earning money or getting all this bling bling and all that stuff. But I want to be able to make music without thinking about, do I have the right team?
Right.
Do I have the resources? Right. How am I get it out? Are people going to listen to it? I want to be able to reach a point where I can release music and I know that everybody's going to be listening to it. Yeah. So I can have the impact that I really want to. If I want to give a workshop in a place where they can't pay me, I can do that because I can bring in people, I can bring in material, but I still don't have that liberty and those resources. So it will come soon, but I'm still working on it.
I think I probably definitely would like to help you here. The man behind the camera is Vigil, and he runs a NGO called Sacred Works.
Amazing.
So he's at it. I mean, we've done a couple of things, and he's been at it since a very, very long time. And I definitely support causes, and definitely, if you would like to do that, I think you should do it with him. And nobody.
For sure. That's amazing. Like, I'd love to do workshops, especially because there aren't a lot of women that go to do workshops, and I feel like representation is important. When I started, I never went to any workshop. I taught myself how to rap, but I felt like if there was a girl giving workshops, I would have been like so much more comfortable to go and try it out. Because when you try new things and you show your guy friends, they're always gonna like judge you and be all judgmental. You shouldn't say this. You shouldn't talk like that. You shouldn't be so aggressive. You should be more feminine. You should be more melodic because you're a woman. And I feel like if you were working with a woman, there aren't all these like prejudice and all these comments that shouldn't exist. And also I feel like it also attracts more girls. So right now the question is, why aren't there enough female rappers? Well, there hasn't been enough representation to bring in more female rappers. So I hope that changes with time.
All right. So I watched this documentary on this basketball player Giannis Antetokounmpo, and he was an immigrant in Greece, and it's very difficult for him to get nationality there. Like you said, that you went to Spain, right?
First, I went to Portugal.
Yeah. And why is it so difficult for anyone to probably get nationality there if you're an immigrant?
It's so difficult because all these European countries don't want immigrants. It's as easy as that. Like, there is a lot of like discrimination and racism going on. The lucky thing that I had was that Portugal had colonized Goa for 500 years.
Right.
So all my family had Portuguese nationality at some point.
Wow.
My mom was born in 63. Portuguese people left in 61.
Right.
So she was the only one that was born under like Indian ruling.
Wow.
So we could prove, that my family had been Portuguese. So that's the only reason we got it.
Right.
But we spent like a year in Portugal, like fighting to get the papers. I know that it was a very difficult time for my mom. She was alone with 2 kids, and there was a point where I got really sick.
A sibling?
Yes, I have a sibling. Yeah, my brother.
Oh wow, elder to you?
Elder to me. Yeah, a year and a half. Yeah.
So what does he do?
Oh, he's a light designer.
Oh wow!
But he's also a very creative guy. Like, he plays the guitar, he paints, like he does all these like graphic pictures and stuff. He's very, very talented.
So does he do your posters and things?
Not yet, because we're not on the same vibe.
Okay.
But he's like my number one fan and my number one critic as well. Like, he criticizes everything I do, but in a good way. Like, he helps me grow. He was the one that got me into like hip hop as well. We used to like have MTV at home playing, and he used to like come and show me all these records. And he was the first one that gave me like a feminist reference as well.
Right.
Because my mom had like a very traditional way of like seeing women, and like she wouldn't let me go out at night, and she wouldn't let me wear skirts. And then my brother used to question her, like, you used to let me go out, let her go out, like, trust her.
Right.
But like, the problem is not her skirt, the problem is how like people look at her when she wears a skirt. So he was the first one, like, because if not, like, I would have followed like my mom's traditional education, and I would have been like fully covered today.
Then what would you be just doing flamingo then? Or probably a tango or something like that?
I think I would have found hip-hop somehow. I would have found it. Something has driven me towards hip-hop. Like, even the fact that I moved to France.
Wow.
I don't even know why I moved there. I don't have any family there or anything. But something, like, drove me over there. And I think that was one of the best countries to go because I really understood, like, hip-hop culture. And it's an amazing place to start being a musician because there's a lot of, like, helps from the government. And there's, like, every concert hall in a city, like, helps local artists. So there's, like, a lot of resources to start growing growing as an artist. So that's amazing. Yeah.
So you probably can write a letter to the government and say that, hey, you know what, there are these people here, and this is a colony, and we have a welfare campus or something like that. And do they provide you funds?
I could if I do like a proper project, and I give if I give them like a budget, and I tell them who's going to be involved and how it can impact that neighborhood. Yeah. And if I can do a showcase at the end, if I can put up a concert at the end with all the people that have been in the program, for example, then I could find funding for that. Yeah, so I give a lot of workshops. I go into prisons.
Wow.
I go into schools.
How has that been like? Has something stuck with somebody? Like when you rapped or you performed, did someone from behind the bars who probably came back to you and said that you inspired me?
So many. They don't say that in those words because they have trouble showing love, but I see the difference. Sometimes I stay there for a week, and the first day they're all like this, and they're all like, I'm not going to work, I'm not going to write. And the last day they're like dancing and jumping. You're like, what happened in that 1 week? Wow. And it's like amazing when you trust them, when you give them like positive reaffirmations, and when you tell them that they're good, that whatever they write is going to be perfect, and that they're worth it, and hip-hop is going to take them in no matter what they do and what they write. Then they just let go of all the pressure. I
think you're just rapping right now.
Yeah, sorry, I speak really fast.
Tracy is just on right now. There's one thing which I've observed with French people. When they are angry, they do this.
That is Italian.
Okay.
Yeah, Italian people do that.
Why? This in India means eating.
Oh.
What does this?
This means like what the fuck?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is eating.
That is so funny, man.
Yeah. So I keep following you time to time on Instagram. You have a podcast too.
Yeah.
All right. It's called Pussy Talks.
Yes.
Wow. More power to you.
Thank you.
More power to you for getting involved and talking about so many other things which people don't talk about. You've got a huge rope tied to your phone.
Yeah. You know what? Because in the metro in Paris, sometimes they pick your phone and they run out.
Oh.
This is the first time I have an iPhone, okay? So it's like my whole salary on that stupid phone. So it's like, I can't lose this shit. Even though I have like 4 insurances for it.
Oh, yeah. 4 insurances? Really?
Yeah, bro.
Obviously when you buy something that worthy, so basically every other insurance covers for the whole phone then?
The thing is that I am very paranoid. So I have like Apple Care.
Okay.
Then I have an insurance with my bank.
Okay.
Then I took another insurance for some personal shit. I think I have 3.
Wow.
So now I'm like, maybe I should lose my phone. I would get all this money from everybody.
I think it's a lesson learned actually. I think it's a lesson learned for everybody. Please have your phone insurance. You're buying a piece of technology which is very, very expensive, and when you lose it, you have to probably stand and cry.
Yes.
So to avoid that, please buy insurance. It's a subtle plug. Alright, so Pussy Talks, bro. I mean, I'm a huge fan. You get a lot of people. You are an activist yourself. They talk about different issues with females, which normally probably a lot of people would probably want to stay away from that. You speak about menopause, you speak about birth, childbirth, you speak about pregnancy issues, you speak about a lot of things, but how did this idea actually come to you?
So I always felt like women don't have a lot of space to talk about what really happens to us.
Right.
And we have a lot of conversations like when we're between us, where we talk about like the violences that we've been through, our dreams, our projects, the obstacles, and also the power that we feel we're building inside of us. And we have like so many like intense conversations between us that I feel like the world should hear, especially because I think it can inspire a lot of other women. And sometimes, women are very isolated because when we go outside, we go from point A to point B.
Right.
We don't hang around, we don't chill with people. We're always like working on, we know where we're going, kind of a thing. Right. And I feel like sometimes we feel like we're crazy because we feel all these things, and then we feel frustration because we don't have rights and liberty and freedom and blah blah. And I felt like putting these conversations out in public will help women feel less crazy and less lonely. And the thing is that also I felt like during COVID, we lost even more presence in public space because now we had to take care of the homes and everybody that was around us and stuff like that. And I wanted to give a space to women to tell their stories because I feel like no women around me is mediocre.
Right.
All the women around me are incredible, have crazy stories, are super talented, have a lot of technique in whatever domain they work in. And I felt like the world had to hear hear their stories. And the only space or the only platform I had was Instagram, right? So I started doing Instagram lives. And it's crazy because I speak 3 languages, so I interviewed women all over the world, and I could do interviews in English and Spanish and French.
Wow.
So I can touch like a lot of people, and a lot of people can understand my messages. So yeah, it's been a crazy experience. It's been 2 seasons now.
Wow.
And I want to transform the 3rd season.
I'm waiting for the 3rd one.
Yeah, I want to transform it into a podcast. I want to like get like better quality now, because Instagram live, you know, your sound is not good, the image is not good. So now I want to get like a full proper podcast setting.
By the way, I'm very happy to know that you're also an activist. When did that side of you come along? Did you see anyone? You get inspired by somebody who's talking about things like you started doing that, right? Mm-hmm. So where did this activist aspect come to you?
I think it was in my DNA, you know, because my grandmother used to be an activist. She used to fight for like Goa's liberation. Wow. She's even like, she's been in jail Indian and stuff. Yeah, for sure. History, yeah, for sure. And she was a fighter as well. And the fact that my mom just ran away from the country as well was like something that also was hard for me, but also inspired me, as in if something is wrong, you need to find a way to change it, kind of thing. And when I was a child, when I was like growing up, I used to like question a lot of things, because I used to go to a private school and girls had to wear skirts, but I wanted to go and wear trousers, and there was like so many things that I didn't understand about what people wanted me to do. And so I think I always had that in me, but I didn't have a way to like get it out. And when I discovered hip-hop, I was like, okay, maybe I'm not the kind of person, because I don't have a political background. Like a lot of people, friends of mine in France, they have been reading, you know, newspapers and books since they were 3 and talking about politics with their parents. I never had that, because we were so busy trying to survive and trying to work. I started working when I was 14. So yeah, we were always like the hustle, paying bills, make sure that we eat, that we look good, you know, that nobody can say that we're, you know, that we look bad or that we smell because we're immigrants and stuff like that. So we were always so focused on that I never like developed my political skills and my political understanding and knowledge and stuff. So I started doing that with hip hop. And the fact that I started like thinking about politics, making music, like both of them added together, right? And then I did a master's in gender studies where I studied feminism. So I was growing as an artist, I was growing as a woman, and I was growing as a feminist. So like, the 3 paths just had to meet, and then that's how I started putting like the pussy power in my music and everything.
So, you know what? So, you know, it's automatically it comes to, I think, basically females to do multitasking. It is just flawless. If I have to do that, I have to probably do one thing and probably focus on that and probably do then the next thing, and you know, but you can do so many things like you did right now, like studying this, and so everything happened. It's like a beautiful bouquet of flowers.
Yeah, but I think it's because we didn't have a choice. Like, I couldn't wait on anybody to help me out or do anything for me, so I had to go and get it all done by myself. And that's why when you said a one-man army, that's what people call me as well, because I've been like, now with my music, I'm signed with an independent music label in France, but we have a small team, so I'm basically the leader of the team, and I'm sending emails to my team every Sunday to make sure they know what they do during the week. I have traveled, I went to Spain, I found a team there, I came to India, I found a team here. It's always me moving around. I went to Mexico, I found a team there, I toured Mexico. So I'm always trying to like figure out how I can develop my career, how can I go to places, how can I move. And I feel like if I don't do that, I'm just gonna die as an artist. So I don't have the choice. Sometimes I wish I had more resources and more people around me.
Is Mexico really that deadly as it's shown? Like, we have seen Pablo Escobar and all of that. Is it like really that deadly?
It depends on where you go, but not really. I didn't see any of like the gangster side. It's a beautiful country with amazing food, with amazing people. I feel like the economy is still like working up because it's not that cheap as people think, you know. And for local people, it's very expensive. So I think like politics related, there's a lot of stuff to change over there, but it's amazing to go there and meet the people that actually are there and make music. Like the amount of support, like hip hop is also very big in Mexico, and you have people that come from like the same type of slums that you have over here that have nothing, that started like selling drugs, that become superstars. And it's amazing to see like how close they all are to each other. As in like France, there's a lot of competition between like different artists. I feel like in Mexico there is like this thing about, okay, culture is more important, so let's like go forward together, kind of a thing.
Wow. So is it pronounced like Mexico or Mexico?
Oh my God, you have a good accent. So Mexico is English and Mexico is like in Spanish. That's amazing.
Right. So, because obviously when you watch a lot of things like Medine, Pablo Escobar, this thing, and you get into the character. You have to probably look at that. That guy is like he's just himself. It's full of bravado, and he's saying something, and he's like puta madre or whatever. And it looks like man. What a man.
It's so funny because I came to India like 2 years ago and nobody like gave a fuck about Spanish. And since like Narcos has come out, everybody's like putting like Spanish swear words in their songs and doing punchlines with like Pablo Escobar and drugs and stuff. And it's like, okay. That's the hype now, huh?
Oh man, that line from I think Seven Bantai's the song. What was that song? Can someone tell me what that line is? बस क्या वहाँ बिटने का रहेगा तो 10 को ला अपन इसको बात.
So what does that mean?
So if you want to mess with me, you can get 10 people, but you know what? I'm Escobar.
Okay.
So that's
damn.
So that has that fever caught on really early onto people.
Shout out to Seven Bantais.
Well, I also want to know that as a hip hop artist, there is some story, like have a social presence, but it is also about sending out a message and telling people that life is more beautiful. And I know there are struggles, but you have to put that aside. What was that moment in your life when you said that I probably don't want to do this. This is what I really want to do. So which was that moment for you?
I think when I started writing my second album. So I released my first album called Commotion, and it spoke about like my story and how my childhood was so chaotic, and how I had so much trouble like finding who I was and understanding myself. And when I re-listened to this album, I felt like I was a victim in this album. Like, okay, I'm a victim. All these things are happening to me, and I don't know how to like get out. Like the struggle is too intense. I'm never gonna make it, kind of a thing. And when I started writing the second album, I was like, but I don't want to be a victim anymore. Like, there's so much stuff that I did. There's so much stuff that I'm getting done, and there's so much stuff I'm gonna do in the future. I don't want to act like a victim anymore.
Absolutely.
So then my second album is called Empower, because I felt like I need to switch the roles now. I want to feel empowered. For me to do things, I need to feel empowered. I need to feel like I'm capable of doing it. I need to feel confident enough. I'm going to stop listening to society that tells me that I'm an immigrant, that I'm brown, that I'm a girl, and all these things make me like not enough. I want to feel enough to do all these things. So I think that is what switched my mentality, and that's why I started opening up with like sexuality and talking about bodies and talking about representation, and like really taking a risk. Saying, okay, people used to say, don't say that you're a feminist when you make music, that scares people. And I was like, okay, that scares you? I'm going to go full on and I'm going to tell you that I'm a feminist. What you going to do about it now, huh?
But why would it scare people?
Because people are scared of women. People are scared of female power. And that's a reality. That is a fact.
That is true. I really see that when, there are board meetings going on, then, but I think my company has changed a lot of that, which I'm very happy about. But it's a very very important question. I would definitely want to ask you this.
Okay.
So what happens is when there is a controversy which happens. I'm just saying, if in a scenario a controversy is happening, now that controversy has opinions about people. A lot of people come up and give their opinions on Twitter or any other social media platforms. But if somebody has a different opinion and it is reflected in a way, because if there are people having one kind of opinion and if somebody else has a different kind of opinion and he happens to be a man, all right, do you think that there are a lot of people who probably push that one person because he has a very different opinion, and when it comes from females, what should that person do?
So the thing is that having opinions is something normal. We're all different. We all have different baggages. Even in the feminist movement, you have different branches where women don't have the same opinions about different things.
Right.
But the thing is that when you have a man giving their opinion about what women should do, that is where we draw the line, because a man doesn't know what we go through. When a man is, when you have all these men making policies about women's bodies and about pregnancy and about the pill and everything, it's unfair because they don't have to go through all the things we go through. And until there is a full understanding of what we go through, until science, art, culture, everything catches
has
up.
To be probably taken into consideration.
Exactly, because
Right.
till now, everything we know in the world has been told by men.
Correct.
Science, culture, history, geography, everything has been told by men. And there's so many things that we don't even know about our bodies
Right.
that we're learning now.
Right.
Because there has been women that are like, yo, I feel pain every time I have my period. Okay, this is called endometriosis. Like, there are so many things that we're discovering now.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. So many women that die. I mean, people don't understand that for us, the risk is death.
Right.
It's not only about giving our opinion on Twitter. It's about trying to live
Right.
and trying to have freedom and trying to, like, get respect. It's like the minimum we're asking for.
Right.
This is nothing radical. There's nothing radical about it.
Right.
But it's crazy that we still have to fight. And it's crazy that people always believe men before believing a woman that is actually going through that.
Right. Because I would tell you, I would like to say this to you, because I was addressing something on a social media platform. I would not like to name it. So before completing my story, there were people who pounced on me on that chat. I was talking about bodybuilding. I was talking about people who are bodybuilders. They have their different mentality. That they have their different psyche. I was just telling that if a bodybuilder is probably doing a show, he's not had water or salt for the longest time. He's the weakest at that point in time. If you go and push that bodybuilder, he'll fall down because there's no water. He wants to show those cuts, and maybe his idea of a great body is that, So there was immediately people who pounced on me, and they said that you don't know anything about bodybuilding, and I was like, let me complete. When that happens, it becomes like, okay, probably, I don't know. It becomes a very confusing sort of space. Would you?
The thing is, that's the problem with social media, is that you have people that have a lot of time on their hands and they just give their opinion about anything and everything. I mean, I have no idea about bodybuilding, so I don't know if what you said is true or not. But at the same time, I think that once you put something on social media, you have to realize that you don't expect any validation from anybody.
Absolutely.
Expect to get hate and expect to get, people telling you that you're wrong, because there are always going to be people to say that. And I feel like, people that are intelligent and have positive things to say are never going to write it down.
Right.
It's only people that hate and have time to hate on people that go and make sure they write a comment that is negative. And then negative comments attract more negative comments, and then it just gets ingrained in that thing. But that's why I think that we have to work on happiness and ambition, because people that have ambition don't have time for that.
Right.
That's why we need to give purpose to people. If your sole purpose is to be on internet and talk shit the whole day, then what kind of life is that?